Hello, World Civilization 106 class. Welcome to week 6. I think it's fair to say that the Hindu section and what we're about to cover with the Far East is going to be the most confusing for a lot of you. But what I'm hoping that you all realize is, remember that we don't do multiple choice questions or exams in this class. And I don't expect you to have all of these various gods and texts and dates memorized. I struggle with these two sections from what we covered earlier and until today. This week's and last week's modules, right? Very complex. But before I go further on that, let me just point out that you'll see that I canceled us. You don't have to do a paper this week. I do have a few more videos to watch, and those Religion for Breakfast videos are a little bit longer, but these really are the best scholarly approaches to the topic of world religions that I've seen. And again, sometimes he gets onto points that you're going to find very irrelevant or just too, like, why is he even bringing this up? And then other ones are going to be very important and helpful. So mainly you're just going to watch videos and you're going to do the discussion. The discussion is very wide open, but I would really like you to put some thought in some things and help make the discussion interesting at the very least for all of you as students. Okay, I'm really going to be zooming in on your discussions and seeing that you're doing that. But I just want to say a few other things. So I want to apologize that I am really focusing mainly on China, to a lesser extent Japan, and then to a lesser extent Korea, and then not really covering Vietnam and Southeast Asia properly. I spent like 9 months basically in Southeast Asia, but also including Hong Kong, which is really a part of the Chinese sphere, but also that's integrated into the Southeast Asian sphere. And I studied a lot of the culture and the history when I was there, and it really increased my knowledge of Southeast Asia. But I have not been able to figure out how to get the time, not just for me to actually make the lectures and put it into this class, but where it would fit time-wise into this class, as in the whole semester. So I've already been cramming as much as possible. And so that's what I'm dealing with. So I just want to say a few things, and I'm not going to be very long on the Southeast Asian discussion. So India, we just covered ancient Indian civilization the last week, and now we're covering China and Japan. And really this is about China for what I'm going to say. China and India are the two greatest influences, I would say, on the cultures of Southeast Asia. And there's a lot of blending in there. And I mean, we're going to see later that the largest Islamic country in the world demographically is in Southeast Asia, not the Middle East, by the way. Indonesia is the largest demographically Islamic country in the world. So Southeast Asia is very important to Islam, which is going to come much later, historically. Christianity, we're going to see with the Catholic colonialism that's going to take place in the Philippines in particular. But if you look, okay, Hinduism is still dominant in Bali, even though it's a part of Islamic Indonesia. Thailand, their court system is really heavily influenced by the Brahmin court Hindu system. The current king is called Rama IX, so they have their Thai names and then their manifestations of Rama. That's a Hindu lineage. okay? And they also have Ganesh that they venerate in Thailand, which is a Hindu god. So their Buddhism is very highly, has much more Hinduism in it, if you want to put it that way, or influence of Hinduism into it than in Thailand. And then Vietnam has had this long-standing political issues with China, but is also extremely influenced by the Chinese culture the most. And then you have Cambodia, which is more or less like Angkor Wat, which I lived by there, and I went there a few times when I was having an apartment in Siem Reap, Cambodia. If you know anything about Angkor Wat, that was a huge, massive civilization that was Hindu, and then converted to Buddhism, and has that legacy built into it there within Cambodia. And so there's also Laos that I could incorporate in that. But the bottom line is that what I just wanted to point out is that all of these different things that you're learning about are incorporated into a lot of different cultures. But here's the last thing I was going to say. I am willing to put money. I don't know this 100% sure, but if I was going to be a betting person, that most of the people that I've met in Southeast Asia and when I was in Hong Kong don't know this history much better than you do, or all of these different topics, unless they're a monk. Think about this. Many of you grew up Catholic. How many of you know all of the language of the terms synod and the arch diocese, like what all these or what this particular catechism is, or the exact position of the Catholic Church on, and what books are in their canon, and how the whole entire thousands of years of Catholic history and all of the theological meetings that are there. That's not how you experience Catholicism. You experience it probably in a very basic way, like, you know, you're from your family, some holidays, pictures on the wall, maybe stories that family have to say, maybe an older relative that has a rosary bead all the time, or maybe that's something important to you. In other words, you simply live it. You don't have this book knowledge of all this stuff. Same even with the evangelical Christians, you know, even though it's more based on the Bible, so there's one text that kind of is a part of your religious identity. But I would say if I asked a religious Christian, even on the Protestant side that reads the Bible, can you tell me the dates of all these different books and who wrote them, and give me some chronological events? That's not how this usually works. So my point is, while this all looks very overwhelming, for the people and how they, you know, it works, it's just something that they do. And it's not really something that the majority of people like sit and study about all day long, you know. And so that's what I found interesting. It's just but it's fascinating that there is this intensely rich literary and historical set of traditions that are a part of all this, that end up becoming a part of popular culture and the conceptions of popular cultures. Like, everybody in China is into the Monkey King. That's like, Monkey King is huge. That text, I'm not sure if everybody read, the one that the Monkey King comes from, The Journey to the West. The Journey to the West is a famous story, like in movies. But this huge tome, this writing, I mean, how many people are reading that? Maybe not as much. But the Journey to the West story, the West being India from the position of China, right? That's interesting. Think about that for a second. Journey to the West, and for the Chinese book, is meaning a journey to India. Okay, right? So West is and East is relative to where you're at, right? Morocco, the Arabic word for Morocco, al-Maghrib, is the West. Morocco in Arabic is called the West, but it's the West of the Middle East. So, anyways, yeah, all these things are relative. I hope this makes more sense. Oops, I'm doing my laundry while I'm talking to you. This is multitasking life, and that's time for me to go deal with the dryer. Anyhow, I hope that helped make things a little bit more grounding instead of more confusing or overwhelming. Please contact me if you have any issues or needs. Please always know that I'm here to support you at all times, and I'm always going to want to help you with your work to thrive. So every student who's contacted me when they're frustrated with their grades or not understanding things, find that they're really happy they contacted me, and I'm going to help, and I help them out, because I'm always going to help out all of my students. Just please keep that in mind, and I hope you have a good week. We'll be in touch.